which brings me to the last bill of the evening, sponsored by myself. It's an act related to food and drugs, the Good Samaritan Prevention Act of 2016. It changes the title and text of the immunity from legal repercussions for emergency overdose care to include the furnishing of assistance for medical emergencies. The bill basically is an expansion, slight as it is, to cover the original intent of this bill that was passed in 2016, balancing tests between criminal activity and saving lives. And it was believed that this, in the past 4 years, that this exception, this hole in the dike, so to speak, of not creating or not being clear in the text of the statute that there was immunity from legal repercussions for someone there who makes the call to save someone's life, have emergency personnel respond and presumptively get Narcan administered, that if you call for emergency overdose care, it would also include the furnishing of assistance for medical emergencies. That basically comes from the people that are out on the street and figuring out how this bill has acted and behaved in real life. We have several witnesses who have signed up. 5?
I have Anna Jane on the line.
Anna Jane?
Anna Jane.
All right. Anna Jane?
Hold on 1 second, please. She's on chair.
Anna Jane, are you available?
Yes, hello, Chairman. How's it going?
How's it doing?
Good, good.
You're on the air.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And I know it's been a long night. I'll try to keep it short. My name's Anna Jamilcan, and I am a co-chair of the Substance Use Policy, Education, and Recovery PAC, or Super PAC. I also work with an organization called Project Weber Renew, which provides needle exchange, naloxone, and harm reduction services. And I'm here in support of Bill 5397, which would expand the great work of the 2016 Good Samaritan law. So as the chairman talked about in his introduction, this would expand to include all medical emergencies so that people would be protected from criminal liability around drug possession if they called 911 in the event of any medical emergency, not just overdoses. So this came from a court case about a year ago in which someone had carbon monoxide poisoning, which presents very similarly to a drug overdose. They called 911, and then it went to the courts because the question was, well, was this an overdose? And it wasn't, but the person was trying to get someone medical attention. And the goal is really always to encourage people to feel comfortable calling 911 to get medical attention. And that's really what we're trying to drive home in this bill here. As I mentioned, I work at an organization that does a lot of support for people who use drugs, and we ask people, in your most recent overdose, did you call 911? And almost everyone says no, and then we ask why, and they say, because I'm afraid of the police. So we really, again, want to drive home, we're going to put in legal protections that protect people when they call 911, so that as many people as possible feel safe, especially given that 2020 was the highest year on records for drug overdose deaths in our state, with over 400 people who died. This would also expand to not only prevent charges and prosecution, but also arrests. And I think that this is really important because the arrest and even seeing an arrest of someone really can spread very quickly and prevent people from calling 911. Even just that image, even if someone is never charged, that can really stick with people and spread quickly. And 11 other states do have protections around arrest, and these include states like Mississippi, Nevada, New Hampshire, Georgia, Arkansas. So I think it's really, I think Rhode Island can really join in that trend as well. One thing I would like to say is we'd also be very interested in this law to expand the universe of people who are protected, including people who are convicted or potentially arrested for drug selling charges as well. And that we support any way to encourage reporting that can ease the burden on law enforcement, and might want to tweak the way the reporting in this bill is written to put it back in Section 9.5, but to push back the deadline a little bit so that law enforcement has more time to do the reporting rather than doing it in January for the previous year. So thank you so much, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Anna Jane by members of the committee? Yes, Justine.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Anna Jane, it's Justine Caldwell. I just think this is a great bill, and I really want to thank you for being such a knowledgeable and passionate advocate for the community. You guys work so hard, and especially together with the legislators, do such good work. So I will keep it brief since it is late, but I wanted to say thank you to both you and the chairman for putting this bill in, and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you so much, Representative.
Any further questions of Anna Jean? Okay, Ryan Holt, I believe.
Rep. Batista.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rep. Batista. Sorry, bud.
Unmute.
You got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you go.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Weber Renew, which is where Anna Jane was just talking about. Proudly in the 12th district, mine in South Providence, and I just want to echo Justine's comments and thank Anna Jane for her hard work. I know she's been working on these issues for a while, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Thanks, Jose. Any other members of the committee wish to make comments or ask a question? Okay. Ryan Holt from the AG's office. Ryan, what's up?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, how are you?
Good, man.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a long night for all of you. I'll be very, very brief. Once again, Ryan Holt on behalf of Attorney General Nerona, speaking in favor conceptually of this bill. I was able to hear a little bit of Anna Jane's testimony and agree that this bill would encourage more folks to contact emergency services in the event of a medical emergency. So we would certainly be supportive of that. One change to suggest, and I believe Anna Jane may have mentioned it in her testimony as well, but would be on the reporting end to probably amend Section 5 of the Good Samaritan Act as the organization that has to put this report together. As actually the person who is generally interfacing with these law enforcement agencies, I think pushing the deadline back to some point in February would help law enforcement agencies get their responses to us in a more timely manner. And if we wanted to put in some type of a best efforts type clause in there, we'd be happy to help the sponsor, who's you, Mr. Chairman, and others craft that. But just to summarize, we do support this bill, and happy to take any questions if there are any.
Does any member of the committee have a question for Ryan Holt? Thanks, Ryan. I'll give you a call.
Have a good night, everybody.
I'll give you a call tomorrow. I know I owe you a call.
Thank you, Chairman. Have a good night.
Thanks. Randall Rose. What's up, Randall? Randall, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, you're on the air. You could testify.
thank you. And I am also in favor of this bill, and had some concerns about the phrasing of the second section, which seems, as far as I can see, not to be about filing reports on the Good Samaritan Act, but about any kind of report that requiring that it seems to require that any kind of failure to file a report on time is a violation of the ethics code, or am I misreading this? I just wanted to check since you're also the author.
I don't have the bill in front of me right now, but are you asking me that question to
Yes.
continue to comment? Okay, hang on a minute.
Yes.
point me to the section, Randall?
Okay, I'm just looking at the last page of the bill, page 6. Sorry, bottom page 5, top of page 6.
Okay. No person or government department or entity subject to this code of ethics shall fail to timely file any report or study that was required to be filed by the state statute. Yeah, it is subject to the jurisdiction of the Ethics Commission for failure to do that.
Right, but was that intended to only cover the reports for the Good Samaritan Act, or all kinds of reports?
Well, that would cover only the reports generated as a result of this act, which would be the Good Samaritan Act.
I think in that case, I think there may have been an error on the part of Legislative Counsel in putting this together, because the way it's worded is actually a lot broader than that. It says that any elected official, any appointed official who fails to file any report with a deadline that has a deadline for it in statute is in violation of the Ethics Code and would have to go before the Ethics Commission. And it's not just the reports pursuant to the Good Samaritan Act, it's any kind of report or study. So I think that may have been inadvertently overbroad, and I would suggest restricting it so that it's only the reports pursuant to the Good Samaritan Act. But aside from that, I think the bill is a great bill for the reasons that were said, and actually simply is an attempt. Actually, the only thing the bill does is to put into effect what the original intent of the law is. So it's just a clarifying bill that I think definitely should be passed. So thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention. We'll have Leg Counsel take a look at it, or Committee Counsel take a look at it. All right, we've got a couple of more witnesses. Steve Brown. Jimmy, is Steve Brown? He's not answering? Okay. Hang on a second. We may be reaching the end.
Still no answer on Steve Brown.
Okay, well, it's late, and so that would conclude testimony on House Bill 5397, which brings us to the end of our calendar. And do I hear a motion to adjourn? Oh, 2 calls?
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute, hang on a minute. There's 2 more calls we didn't make on another bill. Keep that thought, Representative Honora. What bill is this on?
5188. There's no answer on the emailing me, so.
Okay. So that's Julie Caldwell. Julie. Well, the staff attempts to get the last person on the phone. Ironically, it's for the first bill we heard tonight in substance. It was 5.5 hours, or 5+ hours tonight, and members of this committee and the staff did a yeoman's work. It's the first long one of the year, and it's always an interesting experience, especially for the new people. So thanks for hanging in there. As I look at you all, you look kind of tired, except for the young people. So I think I'm glad I'm wearing this mask, because I don't look as tired as I normally do. But thank you for your dedication and your assistance in making this committee hearing a successful one tonight. We did some really good work. So, and Tim stayed awake, and he was writing all that stuff down. Tim Williamson. Good job.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always a pleasure.
Chairman,
Who is this?
we have a Robert Marshall for Bill 5394, Representative Cortland's bill.
Okay, this is Representative Cortland's bill, and it's Robert Marshall.
Hey, how you doing? You guys are still there?
We are still here. You are on the air.
Okay. I was going to just sum up for you on the families, the protection of families with a disabled parent bill. And I also when I didn't get the call, I was going to just call people personally and answer their questions, but I can do that now. I think it was Doc Corvey's that brought up the issue around training and whether or not the hospitals are going to get in trouble on this. The bill itself just requires the hospitals to do that training. That is the whole point there, is to solve the problem in the labor room and have the hospitals do enough training and get everybody to where they're not making these wrong judgments. Because that is the source of the problem is just, I think someone mentioned that people probably hadn't ever met or spent a lot of time with someone with a disability, and they don't imagine that someone can take care of a child in that situation. So that is all that the bill does, is requires the hospitals to do enough training so that these things stop. So I hope that answers that question. The other thing is that we have worked stuff out here to get to this point, which those of you that have been on the committee for a while probably remember. We've been back several times, and then we started hitting the unfortunates. This bill was ready. We finally worked everything out with the courts and with DCYF, and we were ready to send the bill to the floor in 2019, and then that was the year that the rules didn't get waived, and that's what killed the bill. So we went through the committee process again last year, and in March we had managed to get through that. And I will point out to the chair, you probably remember that the family that had testified about having their child taken away for 8 months, the woman didn't make the testimony that night because she was pregnant and due in July, and you kind of promised a birthday present to make sure that didn't happen again. They were lucky. They went into the hospital with a lot of apprehension, but they were able to, nothing happened. They had the baby, they came home, everybody's fine. The baby you originally met when he was 1 year old and had spent all that time in foster care is now about to turn 3, and everybody's doing fine. So we're just hoping that we can move this quickly, like I said, so we can get the training done before this happens to somebody else. And if there were other questions that I missed, there is one that's out there, and something bouncing around this, and this has been bouncing this happened both in 19 and in 20. The ACLU is not opposing the bill, but they have concerns because that sole reason piece that we negotiated with the courts to get them to stop blocking the bill is a lesser standard than what's in the ADA. That does not change the ADA or rule out using the ADA, but it's the only way that this training is going to get done is if we leave that in there. And they just feel an obligation to point that out every year, and I think you've got a letter from them doing it again. But we've looked at this. This is the third time we've looked at this now, and it really is the only way this is going to get done. So, any other questions?
Any questions of Bob? Thanks, Bob. Appreciate your testimony.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
And hopefully we'll see this soon. Thanks.
Yes,
Bye.
thanks. So that concludes testimony on House Bill 5397, which brings us to a motion to adjourn in order, and I believe there's one teed up by Representative Norrie.
To adjourn, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second all around. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the evening.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.